Let's talk about road transportation this morning. A lot of Nigerians are on the roads right now. You're probably listening to us in a bus. Clearly, some are in taxis or what have you, but people have to go to office or to their work, business via the roads. And the sad event that occurred in Ondo State has brought us to that point yet again where we need to reiterate some of those things that we ought to know as road users. The very sad event, no fewer than 30 passengers losing their lives in a road crash that occurred on Saturday at mile 49 along the Lagos-Ore Expressway near Ore in the Odigbo local government area of Ondo State. And seeing some of the images coming out of that crash really is very sad. Well, we have joining us on the show this morning the FRSC Sector Commander, Ondo State, Mr. Samuel Ibitoye. You're welcome to the Morning Brief, Mr. Ibitoye.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers.
Well, a very sad one, really. And what more do we know about that crash? We understand it may have been caused by overspeeding, but just maybe walk us through what more information you've been able to gather about the crash, the investigations, and all of that, something that may help the public. Mr. Ibitoye.
Thank you so much. It was quite a very worrisome incident, very disturbing and disheartening for a crash to happen and claim 30 lives just within a few minutes. And a very, very sad one. It happened on Saturday, just like we have just stated, in the afternoon at about 5:10 p.m. at Odigbo around Ajibade on the Ore Lagos Expressway. It was actually a bus, that's GU bus, coming from Lagos as this, and got to that area and faced an upcoming vehicle. Facing the traffic, not going on his own way. And the other one coming from Goku, flight transport company, overspeeding. The two of them overspeeding, then there was a head of collision in the process, and the whole thing went into flame. At the end of the day, we had 28 people that got burnt beyond recognition, and 4 people were rescued, out of which 2 died on the way to the hospital, and the rest 2 are responding to treatment. That's at Olalu.
Goodness me, really sad one there. I know that the Road Safety Corps has been, speaking about the trends, particularly for the previous year, saying that the Corps recorded a reduction in the number of crashes, but there was a 7% increase in fatalities. 5,421 were killed in 2024, and I imagine this will be added to the fatalities in 2025. So I want you to walk us through some of the major causes of road crashes and what we as road users can do. We'll come to some other issues, but let's deal with this one first, Mr. Ibitoye. What are some of these major causes and how can we prevent them yet again?
Essentially, our vision is to ensure that when crashes occur in the country, it ends in no death. That is, we want to reduce fatalities to the barest minimum, so that Nigerians, when they move from one point to the other, they are sure of not getting their life destroyed by the negligence of a driver. Now, the major causes of the crashes that we are recording is that of human factor, the mechanical factor, and the environmental factor. But out of these 3 major factors, the human factor carries the chunk of it, about 85% of it, because it is the human that drives, it's the human that are even crossing the road, even the passengers, the signers of the road, and every other person around the road environment. Human beings control so much of it. So the human factor is a major one, and that is why we preach most times that Nigerians need to change their attitude to road safety. And the second one is the mechanical factor, which has to do with the vehicle itself, the care of the vehicle, the maintenance of the vehicle, and the other aspect of the vehicle. And the third one is the environment, which has to do with the road or some other factors, the weather, and other ones that has to do with nature. These are the causes of the road traffic crash that we experience on Nigerian roads. But mainly, our concern is that of the human factor, because the drivers especially, they're the ones who are the ones that are determining what happens on the road. They determine the speed they go, they determine the load they carry, they determine some other things that happen on the road. Even dangerous driving, they're the ones that determine A. So our focus mainly is for the driver. Just as the commercial activated last year, December, during the zero tolerance, that we should also add in aggressive public education the role of the passengers. The passengers on board vehicles do not need to keep quiet while the driver is doing his business. That if the driver is driving dangerously, that the passengers are expected by duty.
All right, sorry, if I may come in, speaking to some of the things you're mentioning, you've mentioned the human factor, you've mentioned the mechanical factor. Maybe you can tell us percentage in terms of which is worse. But my concern is the efficiency in terms of implementation by your men and everyone who is supposed to hold these persons who are drivers, whether private or public transportation, public transport drivers, to account. How effective is that? Because sometimes we see complicity, overlook. For instance, let's just even say Lagos, for instance. The way we see some of these buses drive and the state of those buses, no private vehicle will even attempt. They will be paying huge fines. It looks like the authorities have given up on some of these public drivers and how they operate and prosecute their business. I'd like you to speak to that, because there's complicity in one end.
We are still doing our job, and we are still striving hard to improve on doing our job, so that at the end of the day we can have our way. What we do mostly is enforcement. Before enforcement, serious advocacy, because they need to change their attitude. When you see the same Nigerian, when you drive to obey the rules, when you go to the US or the UK, Nigerians there will comply.
Mr. President, can you hear us? Okay, I'm sure we were having a bit of a connection challenge with this network. Mr. Pretoria, if you can you hear me now? We couldn't hear you clearly. All right.
I can hear you very well.
Okay. In speaking to what you were speaking to, because the network didn't allow us to hear all the things you were saying. I'm happy you mentioned outside our country or in other climes where enforcement is because of the consequence of bad behavior, and that is in two layers: the effectiveness of persons like you who are in charge of direct enforcement, and then what will happen outside that environment in court. So doesn't that speak to failure of a systemic failure in itself as part of the problem?
No, it is not a failure. It's a fact that Nigerians need to change their attitude. They need to change their attitude. For FRSC, we go on aggressive enforcement every time. And we also even go into Mumbai courts activation that will give instant judgment to those who are committing infractions on the roads. We are not resting on our oars, and we continue to enforce the law, and we should give them what it deserves when you break the law. What we are saying is that primarily attitudinal change is a major thing. When you know that road safety has played a significant role in your life, and you want to go back, you'll be better for it. The politicians, they know that their life is on the road. Then Nigeria, the FRSC is only the FRSC is doing the Nigerians must come, observe the rules, and make our rules better. Imagine 30 people losing their lives within just a minute. They are brand winners. There are families of people, their husbands, their wives, of people at home. Why are Nigerians not obeying the rules? Why should a driver, even after enforcement, after giving dangerous driving and making people to pay fines or even convicting them by a mobile court, why should a driver should be facing traffic and killing about 30 people at a go? That's
certainly a very sad one, Mr. Bitoye. But when you say it's Nigerians, generally, some will say they can point to cases within the core as well. I personally witnessed a case of some men of the FRSC now in Lagos State this time around hurling rocks at a truck. Because they were trying to stop the truck, and the truck was not stopping, so they had to find a way to hurl the rock at the truck. Now, two wrongs certainly don't make a right, but it points to the question raised about enforcement, right? Because what happened eventually was when that rock was hurled at the truck, we tried to dodge that rock. It hit another vehicle. So what we had on our hands was another accident in that sense. But a point you made, Mr. Bitoye, which I want you to reiterate for Nigerians, is you said that passengers also have a role to play. So maybe we can wind down on that point. So I'm a passenger in a bus, and the bus driver is driving recklessly. What do you suggest that I do as a passenger? I know you were making that point. You didn't quite land on it. So what do you suggest I do as a passenger in that vehicle?
Thank you so much. You have so many roles to play as passengers. You have roles to play pre-trip, you have roles to play during the trip, and you have roles to play even after the trip. Pre-trip, when you get to a park, you are expected to even inspect the vehicle and see that the vehicle is roadworthy. You are expected to also study the driver. And
but Mr. Bitoye, we are not VIO officials. We are not vehicle inspection officers. We are not VIO. We are just passengers.
But of course, you know the tire that is bad.
Oh, I see.
As a road user.
Okay.
You know the tire that is bad. You are expected to check all these things and ensure that, oh, this vehicle can convey me safely to where I'm going.
Right.
If not, why not just stay back and have your life intact? Than for a driver to take you on the road and have a buck tire and at the end of the day killing people on board. That is one. Then two, when you are in the vehicle on the trip and the driver is speeding, cautiously, tell the driver or get driver, please and please, it's like you're overspeeding. Please reduce your speed. In fact, at times you are even free to cajole the driver. Let the driver reason with you and reduce his speed. Do not engage the driver in arguments. Do not allow the driver to lose concentration. Don't distract the driver, because doing that, you end up creating another problem. Then even after, or if the driver even persists, if he's still going, driving recklessly, you can easily get a police checkpoint or military checkpoint or that of FRSC and stylishly report him. Or, at best, you get off the vehicle and let him go than your life being wasted by a very unserious driver. Then after the trip, you can also make your comment and send to FRSC. Then there is this FRSC mobile app that was launched September last year that is available for the public to use. You can also report such a driver or take picture and send it to the mobile app and let us know so that we can track down the driver. The fact is that the fleet operators on Nigerian roads are all registered. Many of them are registered, so you can easily track them and call them to question anytime.
Mr. Bitoye, quite a number of issues raised with what you said, but we have to anchor. So there's been the failure of the authorities in inspecting these vehicles. They're meant to be roadworthy, but if you're not roadworthy, what are they doing at the parks or on the roads in the first place? There's also the talk about the state of our roads, right, which is out of your purview, but particularly the work that is meant to be done by the FRSC, the VIO, ensuring that either you're a tanker or a bus, you are roadworthy. Those are issues that are also out there and staring us in the face. But we have to thank you so much for some of the work you're doing and enlightening Nigerians. We've been speaking with the FRSC Sector Commander, Ondo State, Mr. Samuel Ibitoye. Thank you and wish you the very best.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Well, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, we'll turn our attention to the story of some inspiring women in Nigeria and beyond. That's the moment. Stay with us.